So in a moment, we're going to talk about your ideal Chelsea team as they stand at the moment. But I just want to pick up on what he said there about the opinion on the continent of English managers and English coaches. You know, we stand here right now. There's not a single English boss in any of the top 5 leagues in Europe apart from the Premier League. When you hear him say that they just think that we sort of like shout and swear our way through football games, how does it make you feel as someone who was managing in an era where English managers were not necessarily, you know, considered at that level?
Yeah, it frustrates me when I hear that. I think there's a little bit of honesty there, and I think it's true to a certain degree. I think it goes back a lot further than that, with generations before, when we got stuck in our ways playing 4-4-2. As coaches, we were lazy coaching back in the 70s, in many ways, and 80s. So I think that was always going to happen, and I think it's true. Hopefully I wasn't one of them, Jake, you were referring to, but you know, I like to think I managed a little bit different out of the box, but that is the way they look at. You know, I went to France and played, and it was all long ball, it was all English football, direct football, and that's unfortunately something that stayed with us, and we've slowly got to. People like Graham have slowly got to change this.
Do you think it is changing?
I've definitely changing. Like from working in the academy at Chelsea and seeing that the young coaches learning, that dedicated to learn every nuance and every tactical system. Glenn, I think it's absolutely right, and present company excluded. I think Glenn was way ahead of his time for football. Glenn coming to football now would be embraced for the way he plays, the way he sets up his teams. But back then, they're absolutely right. I remember in my first session at Lille, I give a ball away and the lads would chuckle, English pass, because they saw us as like backward football. And I believe through the 90s and early noughties, I think we fell so far behind tactically. We're only just catching up the last 5, 6, 7 years, I believe, my opinion.
Because we've embraced that European and foreign way of playing, the culture and the ideas about football. But I do feel if you're looking like, I agree with Joe, being in and around the academies, the coaching that you see there now is so different to when we grew up. It was all shouting and bawling, and it was very much about dragging people here left and right. Whereas now is it very much that culture of Pep Guardiola, I'm sure has huge influence as well on that style of football, and it's filtering down through the academy.
It's technical, and they changed it. Look at the Fodens, the Mounts we're going to see tonight. When they were 8 or 9 years of age, we started changing our academies. We were copying the Continentals, really. That's what we did. But it was the right way. They were getting thousands of touches of a ball rather than like 50 when the pitch is too big. And they changed the... So we copied them, and now look at the fruits. You've got your Fodens, your Mounts, your Grealishes, all these players are coming through now because they're, you know, they started at 8, 9, 10 being coached differently. And I tell you what, it was about the football. It was about, first and foremost, mastering that ball and then going on and learning from that.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, there'll be coaches of that era maybe sitting at home watching this and thinking it's personal. It's not personal. It's the system that we all played, that we all grew up in, which was wrong. It's almost like you're going down the wrong road, down a track. And if anyone bites back with an argument, no, we was right, we wasn't right, because we was miles off it, and we had the players, we had the quality of the players. We never put it all together at the right time. And not just because Glenn's here, but I think Glenn, after Terry, during that England era, we were starting to deviate and go back towards playing the right way of playing. These lads now are brilliant technically and tactically, streets ahead of what.
But also, I don't think it's just English, because you've got to think about the England coaches that came after Glenn. They were foreign coaches, and we were still way off in terms of tactically approaching games and getting outplayed and being very rigid in our approach and very English, but with foreign coaches. So it wasn't just, I think it was that English coaches, yes, but more that era was very different as well.
Yeah, it comes back to the whole conversation about perception over reality. The reality was there were English managers around 20 years ago who were progressive, looking to play great football, but the perception was that English football had a certain way of playing, and that was dominating people's thoughts.